To understand the horror of the cat-face lady, you first have to understand the city that birthed her. Harbin, 1995. A city of ice and steel in the far north of China. It was a time of uncertainty. The old industrial era was dying. Huge factories sat silent, rusting in the snow. The sky was perpetually gray, choked with coal smoke from a million chimneys. In this freezing concrete jungle, the nights were long, and the streets were empty. It was the perfect breeding ground for an urban legend. But what happened in the Zhang family apartment was no legend. It was a biological anomaly that the authorities tried to burn out of existence. It started with a death in the family. Madame Zhang, a widow, passed away in her sleep. According to tradition, the body was laid out in the living room for the wake. But her children, they were not grieving. They were arguing. We recovered a diary entry from a neighbor who lived next door. He wrote about that night with terrifying clarity. They were so loud, arguing about money, about who gets the apartment. They left the old woman's body all alone in the cold room. They didn't even cover her face properly. That's when I saw it. A stray cat, pitch black. It had been screaming in the alleyway for nights. It climbed through the open window. I wanted to shout, to warn them. You never let a cat near the dead. It disrupts the bioelectricity remaining in the corpse. But I was too scared to speak. What happened next is a scene of pure body horror. As the cat leaped over the coffin, it didn't land on the other side. Witnesses claimed the animal seemed to dissolve into the corpse. The body of Madame Zhang began to twitch. First, a finger, then the neck. The sound was described as wet branches snapping. Her spine realigned itself. The human vertebrae cracked and shifted, forcing her body into a crouch, on all fours. When the children finally stopped arguing and looked at the coffin, their mother was no longer lying down. She was perched on the edge of the box. Her face was half human, half feline. The skin had tightened, pulling her lips back to reveal teeth that were suddenly too sharp, too long. She let out a low growl, pounced through the window, and vanished into the snowy night. Within 24 hours, the rumors infected the city like a virus. This wasn't just a ghost story told around campfires. This was real fear. A local elementary school teacher from that time described the atmosphere in the classrooms. You have to understand, the fear was tangible. The classrooms were half empty. The parents whispered that the cat woman targeted children because their chi, their life energy, was the purest. She needed it to stop her body from rotting. The legend said she would hide in the school bathrooms or wait under the stairwells. There was a specific detail that terrified the kids. She wouldn't just kill you. She would take a bite out of you and then stitch you back up so no one would know you were dead until you collapsed. But rumors are one thing, encounters are another. Let's reconstruct the police report filed by a young man named Lai on December 12, 1995. It was 9 p.m. Lee was walking home through a narrow alleyway between two factory dormitories. The street lights were broken. He heard a sound behind him. Click, click, click. It sounded like high heels, but faster, too fast. He turned around. At the far end of the alley, he saw a silhouette. It looked like a small, hunched old woman carrying a basket. "Grandma," he called out, "are you lost?" The figure stopped. Then it dropped the basket. It didn't walk towards him. It scuttled, like a spider, but heavy. Lee ran. He could hear the creature gaining on him, its breath raspy and wet. He made it to his apartment door, fumbling with his keys. He felt a cold wind on his neck. He slammed the door shut, just as something slammed against the wood. The next morning, he found deep scratches on the metal door, 3 inches deep. No human fingernails could do that. By the end of the week, the situation was out of control. The local police were overwhelmed. Unverified reports claimed that the People's Liberation Army was quietly deployed to the sector. This is where the story turns from a ghost story into an action horror nightmare. Soldiers, armed with automatic rifles, swept the frozen industrial district. They found her in an abandoned boiler room. The creature that was once Madame Zhang was now bloated, her limbs twisted at impossible angles. Her eyes glowed with a bioluminescent green in the dark. According to the soldiers, she moved so fast she was a blur. Bullets seemed to pass through her rotting flesh without slowing her down. She wasn't alive, so she couldn't feel pain. The squad leader made a decision. Burn it. Flamethrowers lit up the night. The boiler room became an inferno. Witnesses say that even as she burned, she didn't scream like a human. She shrieked like a cat in heat, a high-pitched, piercing sound that shattered windows nearby. The fire destroyed the evidence. The official explanation was released the next day. A rabid wolf had wandered into the city and was neutralized. The schools reopened. The factories turned their lights back on. But the scars remained. To this day, in the older districts of Harbin, you will see people behaving strangely at funerals. They are obsessive about locking windows. They appoint guards to watch the coffin, armed with brooms or sticks, specifically to chase away stray cats. They know the truth. The cat-faced lady might be gone, but the phenomenon, the biological reaction between a feline and a corpse, could happen again, anytime, any place, maybe even in your town. So as you lay in bed tonight, listen closely. Is that scratching sound just the wind? Or is it a hungry, confused spirit wearing the face of an old woman, trying to find warmth? This has been the Harbin Files. Sleep tight. And remember, never let the cat in.